Running Sentences presents Miles to Go, Part 6. Helpful Times. Exploring this latest town he's arrived in, Hiram finds himself helping out, trying to be a good person, and to find those in need. This story is written and narrated by Michael Henry. It is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, events, and/or fictional businesses, characters, events, and so on and so forth is purely coincidental. Copyright 2026, Michael Henry, all rights reserved. Having stepped away from the mess of that old lady in the hotel lobby, Hiram stood in the sidewalk, taking in the warm afternoon sun. It was still the early afternoon, and he fought off a yawn from taking over. With the way things were going, he still felt like he needed more sleep, but he wasn't going to get it. The town was a busy little place along this street, people moving about, trying to get somewhere else, and not happy that he was just standing in the way when they were trying to walk. So he, too, took to walking and seeing the sights, until he came across a young woman standing out in front of some sort of store. "If anyone can help out, it would be appreciated." Her shout brought him to a stop as he was walking by. "Oh, what kind of help do you need?" he asked. "Just about every kind you can think of. You're new around here, since I haven't seen your face before." "Yeah, just passing through, but if you need help, I can certainly try to help out. I don't really know what I would be doing, but as long as I know what I'd be doing, I can help out, so..." "This is a charity kitchen. You good with food?" "I can cook. Not well, but I can help with other things if need be." "Mostly we need help serve the people in the line, dishing out food, so to speak." "Well, that I can do." "Good. Come on in." The dining space wasn't busy as he walked into this building. The lady was charging on ahead towards a buffet line that wasn't well staffed and didn't have many people looking for food yet. "It's all pretty simple. People come by, ask for food, you put it at what they want on the plate, and they have it. Easy, right?" "No doubt. Are you, expecting to be busy though, miss?" "Sort of, yes. People always come in looking for food around this time, and our job is to help them out. A good deed to do for people, even if some of them probably don't need the help." His comment drew a sharp look from over her shoulder at him. "I have no time to judge people here. Anyone who comes in can get food. It would take forever to figure out who is poor enough to qualify, so we just do the honor system here." "If they can pay, do they?" "Some do, but this town is pretty poor, so lots of people come by at some point or another." Those streets out there were pretty full of people who looked busy and like they worked for a living." "And appearances can be deceiving, mister, or did I not just explain that to you? Don't question about things around here. It will only bring trouble." "Oh, okay, I see. I'm sorry." She was shaking her head at him as they arrived at the buffet line, then pointed towards another worker who waved their hand hello. "This is Sharp, and they're a volunteer here as well. Everything is self-explanatory, but if you need any help, just ask." "Okay. Do I need anything like hairnet or gloves?" "Well, you don't have long hair, so no need for the net, but gloves are pretty much needed. Even with the state of things, the whole government disassembly, most of the safety organization, we still try and do our best for the people," the worker, Sharp, said. "And you'll need an apron over there as well," Lindsay chimed in. "Oh, forgot about that. Yeah, apron, those clear plastic things, will get pretty easy to wear and then walk home in them without even a single thought." Hiram merely nodded along as both items were handed to him, which he quickly put them on. This right as the crowds came tumbling into this place. A line was forming up near the end of the buffet line. Sharp was the first to move, as he hurried over waving his hands. Right, I'll be serving your food." "You take the end of the line here, serving bread or rice if people want it." Got it, Hiram said to this lady. The woman who had pulled him into this situation moved to be near the center of the buffet line, helping those first customers come through her section. That left him standing there dumbly observing people, many of whom in suits, but not great-looking ones. It gave him the feeling that these were a group of people who were worn down by life, which was confirmed when he met their tired eyes as his first customer came to be served. The line of people felt like it would never end, even though it eventually did. Several times restocks had come from the kitchen, until it had died down to a trickle of people. Lindsay, who had eventually given him his name, and the operator of this charity kitchen, told him to take a break out back, so he stood there taking in gulps of fresh air. Lots of work, wasn't it, You don't seem like the type to get caught up in such messes, she said. I'm not normally Miss Lindsay. Well, I am, but I deal with things differently. My job is all about helping people get money to keep them going during these troubled times. Now that sounds like a lot of trouble for everyone. He looked over at her surprised as she was relaxing against the nearby wall, a pen being twirled in her fingers as she looked far away. I suppose it could be, but money does help people and organizations like this one. And it also brings a lot of pain and suffering along the way. If someone like that reported person, a sort of Robin Hood out there, showed up dropping off money on us, it would cause us immense problems. Why would it do that? Well, Mr. Hiram, in a not-so-big town like this, one where everyone has needs, they hear we have money, and to help pay costs, they'll all show up looking for their cut of the pie, and those that don't get it, or just don't like it, or just don't like us, will start rumors or go further and vandalize this place. We'd have money to fix it at first, but quickly run out, and it would still leave a black mark on us, which everyone would know about. Hiram paused at that, thinking it over for a second and taking a look at her. She, though, continued to stare off into the distance, taken away by whatever was in her mind. I'll take it that you've been through this before, then? That's how it sounds to me, anyway. She then turned and cast a mournful little smile his way, and then looked away again. I have, and you come across like a Robin Hood, by the way. I see, and you probably wouldn't accept any help that I have to offer? The only help that can make a difference has to come from the people themselves. Outside sources will only become something that they lean on far too much. He shook his head at her. The same could be said for the people here. They'll wind up relying on the help of those near them, which will fall apart at some point. That it likely will, Mr. Hiram, but until the people build something on their own with the mutual support, then outside support will only cause more problems for them. I cannot accept any of your help, or anyone's help. Aside from the kind that just worked a shift for you, helping give out food, money is bad, but I can still help you by using it if you want. And exactly how do you plan to do that? I'm sure there is some place in town that has supplies, or a nearby town that can deliver food and other needed items. She sadly shook her head and still would attract attention as to how we got it. Face it, as much as you seem like the type that wants to help in this case, at this time you cannot. I had to offer, didn't I? And I wasn't going to force you to accept anything like that in the first place. Oh yes, I know. I'm well aware. You should get out of here before someone shows up questioning why you're here. This is not a town that likes strangers. I've noticed that about most towns I visit. They do not like strangers of any kind. But thanks for the hint to get out of here. I think, though, that I will go see what the rest of this town has to offer. And is there, by the way, a place to eat aside from here and this one? I mean, you did kind of run out of food. There is, in fact, a diner on the edge of town, used by the likes of our mayor and his friends. It is not a very welcoming place to most. Hiram rose from his spot with a grin and pointed off in a direction. There was a nod from Lindsay that yes, that was the way to go get there. A little bit of a hike brought Hiram to the spot on the edge of town. There's quite a few abandoned buildings here, but one building, an old-fashioned trailer-style diner, stood out amongst all of it. Hiram had entered and stood before the sign that said, "Please wait to be seated." There was a group of people in here, all of them at the stools around the counter area. One of them was wearing the sheriff's hat as they all looked over at him. "Good evening. I heard this place is a good place to get a meal," Hiram announced. "This is an exclusive place. We don't take in strangers." A waitress had appeared from behind the counter and through the swinging doors that went to the kitchen. "Well, that's not great. I have money to pay for such things, and I wanted to enjoy a meal with some important figures." "Why should we listen to an odd, crazy man who came into town and was seen helping at the giveaway kitchen? That's a man like you think you can accomplish around here all places." "Oh, you've been keeping an eye on me. I see you're the sheriff's according to your hat, I assume. But, yeah, where you're wearing your cowboy hat and with the word sheriff written on it, that's what it means," Hiram replied, fumbling his words. "A stranger comes to town and pokes their heads into matters of a little old lady first thing. Yeah, we keep an eye on troublemakers." "Offering to help makes me a troublemaker, Sheriff?" "Yes, it does. We don't like people around here who have no business being here." The latest man to speak up had a sash that went over his shoulder that declared him to be the bearer. "Good to know, gentlemen, or lady. I guess the waitress is a lady, but I'm here on business in the hopes of talking to the people in power to help them out." "Better start talking quickly then. I have an itchy gun that likes to shoot at the wrong word." Opening his mouth to correct the comment from the sheriff, Hiram decided it wasn't worth it at this point, what an itchy finger meant. "I wanted to make a money offer to the town. In return for getting some money, you would relax your grip on your citizens." The group of men looked to one another, a lot of eyebrows raising in surprise. A few whispered words were passed between the few before it was the mayor who turned back to Hiram. "You say money and citizens in the same sentence, and an interesting combination. It doesn't work for most of our people." Maybe it will work for you, though. I get that you want control and to keep it, but I'm offering money to relax that control and let these people to be able to not have to go to a charity kitchen, so to speak." "You're asking us to open up this place?" the sheriff grumbled. "Not exactly what I was thinking, Sheriff. You can keep this place all to yourselves if you want, but providing an option and good pay to the people will open up other restaurants and places and competition and drive revenue here. We'll open up this town and open up this place." "We don't want that sort of thing around here. Everyone likes it just the way it is. You're some weird fucking up stranger who thinks they can just fix the world, and when they come in here, it won't happen." I don't think I can fix the world, Mayor. What I do believe I think I can do is help out a few people by providing a little freedom. Money buys that freedom, and it buys an awful lot around here." This group of power brokers, or whoever they really were swung around now facing him, but still seated on their stools, angrily waving their fists and discussing and whispering amongst one another. "Listen up, boy. You want to bribe us, but show us no money? You talk and talk like something good will happen if we agree to your terms, yet nothing beyond vague words is being offered by you." "Well, I keep getting interrupted, sir, so I can't really explain to myself. And, who are you, by the way?" "Dang on fire, Chief. Name's Henry." "Okay, well, Henry, nice to meet you. I have a job working for an agency that likes to help people along. They give money out, so to speak. I can talk to them into giving you a good chunk of change, let's say quarterly, and all you have to do is give your townsfolk more freedom." "How much more money?" the mayor demanded. I'm open to hearing what you think would be fair, though I'll warn you too hot. This will all probably go nowhere. You're the one with all that money, aren't you? Or you're one of those people traveling around handing out money, aren't you? I neither confirm nor deny that's who I am, Sheriff. But shall we start the bidding and get this town moving in the right direction? That would be a much better use of your time, I think. It would require $300,000 to even start talks. As our mayor says, we need a lot to even be willing to talk. This fire chief Henry had added this. A firm, thin frown came to Hiram as he tried to figure out what he could really offer. This had gone quickly over what he expected money-wise, and he was shaking his head at how naive he was. I can offer you several $1,000s to start off. Then my colleagues will get in touch with you about this whole process, and money will flow more freely to you, Hiram offered. So you really don't have a say in all of this. Hiram fixed to stare at the mayor for saying this, and just shook his head no. I'm getting you started on your way to money. Or would you rather not get any free money to use how you want, with no one watching over you? Oh, you're all talk, and since you've presented nothing to us, I think you should leave, the sheriff said with a glare. I think I've presented a very good and smart idea to you, Sheriff. And of course we will reject that proposal as you don't even have enough to woo us. As the mayor said this, Hiram reached into his pocket and pulled out a wad of cash. The blank expression on everyone's faces, though, made it seem like it wasn't a good idea as he thought it would be. A few $1,000s to begin, then someone will come along to talk to you about giving you more, and that number will get closer to the one you're seeking. Mr. Hiram, if that's your name in the first place, we don't want your money. The town has plenty of it, and is all allocated to the important people who deserve it. We don't need you or your offers, the fire chief said. Then the sheriff spoke up. Please leave our town by the morning, or we'll be forced to turn you over to the state. Consider this a nice offering, since you did bring money and would have helped out our citizens, but it was a fucking awful idea of yours. Listening to the fire chief and then the sheriff say all of this made Hiram shake his head in frustration. Stuffing that money back into his pocket, he sighed and backed out of this place. With a grumbling stomach, Hiram arrived back at the hotel lobby where he was staying. That old lady was long gone, which was nice, but there was a person staring at him as he entered. An older gentleman, who rose as Hiram turned to see if the hotel had a restaurant and hoped if it did, it still was open. There was one, though it looked quite run down. The man was shortly by his side, as his walking only took a couple of seconds to cross the floor. You, the man growled into his face. I take it you have some sort of bone to pick with me, sir. Whatever it is, can we talk it over some food? I haven't got a chance to eat in a little bit. You're going around causing trouble. Yes, I am. But is that a yes or no to the food part, though? Because I'm going to go into that restaurant right now, Hiram replied. You aren't listening to me. You aren't listening to me. Hiram nodded his head towards the greasy spot that was a restaurant that was mostly empty, and started heading that way. Sitting across from the older man who joined him, a man with simple clothes that looked worn but well loved, Hiram stared at him. They'd both taken up this booth as the waitress had come by to take their drink orders and drop off some menus. Well, what can I do for you? Do you have a name so that I can call you? Name is Ralph, and you're ruining things. Yes, I heard that from you before. I was hoping you would explain what you meant by it instead of repeating it. All so that this conversation can at least keep moving forward. You approached my daughter and then the local town officials about something. Whatever you did is going to have a terrible effect on this town. Nodding along, Hiram took a sip of his water and made a face. It was not clean water with the way it tasted. You are free to believe that, but it isn't entirely true. I did not accomplish anything. I did try, but I didn't achieve anything. You didn't need to accomplish anything. The people who run this town only need you to come and try it, and they'll bring us down for your crimes. You're saying that it's a crime to help people here. Shouldn't your daughter, I'm assuming you mean Miss Lindsay, be thrown in jail then? All she does is help people. She's from this town, so she doesn't get as much ire. But that will change if she gets money or attention. Ralph had slapped his hand down onto the table in frustration, making both cups jump a little bit. I see your point, but there is nothing I can do now. My life is all about helping people, and I tried to help this whole town. I didn't succeed, but I tried. Do you know how much pressure is now going to come down on her and on our citizens? Not sure what to do. Hiram shook his head no, and waited for the man to continue, though he did note that the waitress was hovering not far away, looking for a break in their conversation. He waved her over to allow himself some time to think, and to give Ralph a chance to calm down a bit, and to take a break from his anger. The waitress was pretty quick, though, taking their order and the menus and then scurrying off in only a minute or two. I can't say I know about any pressure your dear Lindsay is going to be facing. She didn't talk to me about such things, but seemed resolute in standing on her own. You don't understand. The higher-ups are going to be targeting her now. She can't stay here. If you're trying to say that she should leave with me in the morning, I can only say no. She has her own choices to make about such things. I can't force her to come with me. At least be willing to give her a ride out of town. Sure, if she wants it and she is here tomorrow morning, I will give her a ride. You mean it? I wouldn't say such things if I didn't mean it, sir. The man still looked over at him doubtfully, but the waitress had come by again to top off their drinks. Are you trying to get your daughter to leave town again, Ralph? It's what's good for her. She holds this place up with all the help she gives it, and the town government reaps those benefits but never pays her back. You want our town to fall apart, Ralph? The waitress pointed out. Well, no, but she shouldn't be here anymore. It's not safe thanks to this man. Nor was it probably ever safe. Wait a second. I'm not going to take her away from here. If it's going to ruin people's lives, I mean. That would be bad. Ralph had been talking to the waitress, swung back to face Hiram, pointing his finger towards his face. You don't understand the dangers that this town has for people. You're just a no-good traveler. You probably even wanted to try and pay off the government to get your way. With that shrug, Hiram nodded yes. No, I do not understand the dangers of this town. I'm going to guess that you, too, mister, don't fully understand them. You think you have an idea, but the reality is you've never seen the level at which people will stoop to, Hiram said. I've seen more shit than you have, boy. There was a whole war which I fought in over this. Barely survived and saw monsters grab all the power for themselves. And now you want your daughter to run away from that, from all that you've built? I know that there was a terrible situation, and your job is to protect her, which you feel you no longer can do, I guess. But sending her off with a stranger is not exactly helpful. I don't care what you think. Keep your promise that you'll let her leave with you. Hiram looked and stared at this man hard, trying to figure out what he wanted from all of this. The glare back that he was getting, though, was telling him he was already pushing things too far, even though he really didn't understand what this guy wanted. Why are you chasing after my word on things? You already don't trust me, so it doesn't make sense to seek it out. Oh, he doesn't, but he's desperate, as always, to save his daughter. The waitress butted in, which caused Hiram to look up and over at her. She had disappeared and come back with 2 plates of food in her hand. He couldn't remember if she had had the plates or not from before when she'd come, though he's pretty sure they didn't, but let it go. I am not. Everyone in this town is, Ralph. You just think that this might be her last great opportunity to get out of here. And why do you think that, sir? Hiram asked as he looked from the waitress now to Ralph. Because of you. The government of this town likes no one, especially when strangers interfere with their plans. They'll take it out all on us, and more specifically for her, for seeking any help. It gets really bad here. Ralph complained bitterly. Well, describe to me how bad these things get then, Mr. Ralph. They'll paint the windows of your business, tell everyone not to work with you, put holes in your car tires, and if you have a home, well, they might burn it down. There was a tar and feathering a couple of years ago, the waitress butted in. See, it is that bad. There are, I will point out, more of you than there are of them. Why not fight back and take this place for yourselves and rule over it? The state and country government will come in and wipe us all out, Ralph said. You don't know that for sure. I would argue that they probably don't give one iota of a care, since as long as someone is sending tax money in, they'll be happy. The waitress was inching her way away from them, shaking her head in disbelief. No one will go for that, though, Ralph said. The running away or having your daughter run away will do no good either. You can either abandon this place or fight for it. If you're not willing to do either with those that you love, then you wind up right back where you started, Hiram pointed out. Ralph was shaking his head and grumbling. Nothing is that simple. Hiram was picking at his food, a simple burger and fries that were unsurprisingly greasy as all hell. It would have to do for now, though. I understand that, but you're sticking up for your daughter, but not yourself sends the wrong message to everyone. And anyway, I can't exactly protect your daughter. What do you mean, mister? Say I drop her off in the next town. What's to stop the cops from merely coming and picking her up and bringing her back here? Oh, all the towns around here hate each other, Ralph said with a wicked grin. That might be true, but not when a person who has lots of money is coming through their wasteland of cities, or towns, or whatever you want to call them. They will happily work together to get the glory of being able to say they were the ones to capture one of these people. The man's face was growing rather red, heated, and a snarl that kept growing on his lips appeared. I should turn you in then. Tell the cops that you're the one they've been looking for all along. That would get the attention away from Lindsay. Feel free to do so then, sir. I might be your only way your daughter gets out of here, but if you want to turn me in, maybe that'll help you out. I shall finish my meal, though, and get some rest. I'm sure I'll be dealing with a lot in the morning. Oh, you most certainly will. Ralph scooted out of the booth, glaring as he went, his own food half finished. Hiram shook his head at the sight and pulled out his wallet as the waitress returned, so that he could pay. Stretching and stepping out of the restaurant a few moments later, Hiram was ready to get up to his room, but stopped. The town sheriff was standing in the lobby, talking to a hotel worker who pointed right at him. It took only a second for the cop to come over. Mr. Hiram, you needed to speak with me? Hiram asked the sheriff. We have received complaints from some locals. One claims that you were trying to bribe people. Oh, that sounds about right. Was that from Ralph? The sheriff took a few steps closer. Could be. It don't matter to you, though, because you'll have no right to know. I'm leaving town tomorrow as per your instructions from your little group. I don't see this as worth the paperwork for you that you would have to file. It really isn't at all, but I need ways to make this seem worthwhile. Shaking his head, Hiram reached into the pocket that he'd put the money in before, pulled out a wad of bills he had. With as much carelessness as he could muster, he flipped that cash over to the officer. That good enough for you? Might be indeed. Careful with it, though. You don't want the people to start suspecting of you of taking money, Hiram said to him. With a big fat grin, the sheriff shook his head. You think the people will notice or care? They're too scared to do anything about those in power. Well, okay then. If there was something else you wanted to bother me with, or just the money you wanted. Yeah, you're on the watch, so don't try anything else. Well, I wasn't going to, but does talking to a person out of town count, just so I know? You know, like a phone call? I won't answer that. You'll have to find out in the morning if things play out the way you want them or not. What a lovely town that cares about money and not the people as it should. Hiram took a step away towards the elevator before the voice of the sheriff stopped him. Don't press your luck, you idiot. Right, you can still make me vanish. Because you have a whim that you wish to fulfill. As long as you're aware of how things are around here. Trust me, Sheriff. I know all too well how places like this run. All of them are all the same. You see one, and then you get to see the shades of grey. The rest are when you stop by. What a terrible view on life you have, Mr. Hiram. You're one to speak. You hold this place like a crown jewel when it's just a bunch of mud and people trying to dig out of that mud. The sheriff took a quick step forward, grabbing at Hiram's arm, but he shook the man off, giving him a glare. Get out of this town. Hiram went up to his room for the night, annoyed and frustrated with all that had happened. He was most certainly going to get out of here, but in the morning, and not because of what the higher-ups were doing here. He just had enough. He sat down heavily on the bed and pulled out the cell phone the agency had gave him, and took a second to get the contacts list and dial up a number he wanted. Hiram, are you reporting in? The agency switchboard asked. Yeah, I didn't expect the agency to know who I was, but I guess you assigned me this phone, so that it makes sense. So, yeah. Correct. You have a report for us? The town of Anchorsville, where I am, is a mess, and you probably want to make sure that people avoid this area and this town. Understood. Anything else about this place that we should know? The switchboard operator asked. The people need a lot of help, but it's the usual story going around all these towns. There's a sigh from the operator on the other end of the line. Are you in any danger? Threatened and told to get out of town. I don't think they'll do anything, but you never know. We will have people in place just in case. Thanks. Oh, one more thing. I might be bringing out a person out of this town. I think there might be some use when we get out of here. That is your call if you want to bring someone out, and once they're safely out of town, we may have to pick them up when we learn more about them. The line went dead, leaving Hiram staring at his phone. The end of episode 6 of Miles to Go. Thank you for listening.